So here's the point. We have seen that education is not the way. It's not the answer. Education, the way the world, this construct want us to believe, because we have more people who are masters and bachelors, and yet they're not in the field. At best,
So
they
true.
got a job, but they're not in the field that they went to school for, and they still in debt, still paying for it.
Wow.
That's not, to me, that's not a measure of success. The last time I checked, you can't copy your degree and pay for your house. That you can't do that.
Tristen, look, what you're doing is amazing. Sincerely, I'm newer into the space. You might consider yourself newer. I don't know, but when it comes to like what you do as a software testing engineer, that was something that I honestly was fully oblivious to, like
Yeah.
before I met you. I had seen it before on people's LinkedIn maybe, but I never actually knew what it was.
Yeah.
I hit you up randomly. You like went out with a stranger. You know what I'm saying? You and I grabbed lunch, man. We kind of hit it off. Didn't even really realize more of the other things that you were in too, like with the IT consulting and how like I feel like you're truly helping people in a meaningful way, not blowing the fluff at people, but giving people the real. So yeah, man, I'm honored to have you on the platform. And so I guess we can start off, man. If you just do like a quick intro, we're going to get into some questions. I'm going to eventually actually get into like you giving advice for people who are exploring various IT paths, what resources are out there for them. We're going to touch on AI because I'm sure you in your intro, maybe you will let the people know just kind of like your professional involvement in that. Yeah. And then we'll get into, the biggest challenge that you see people actually facing when they're actually looking to pivot into something different, man. So you got the floor.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for even reaching out to me. Like I said, tons of people on LinkedIn that have the same credentials, if not better, on paper. You could have reached out to, but you reached out to me, and that means a lot. So thank you. A little bit about myself. So my name is Tristen Alexander. Originally, I claim New Orleans because I was born there. So I'll want to forever claim New Orleans. Who that?
Got to, man.
But the place that formed me, who I am, in Mississippi, a small town in Mississippi called Natchez. That's where I, got my first computer, which is funny. I'll talk about that, later, probably if that comes up. But that's what really formed me and really helped me to see the need of really helping people when I was there in Mississippi. And now I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Been in IT for over a decade now. Believe it or not, it sounds crazy. Some of those years were self-taught and just try to break into IT, and I couldn't. So I formed my own path until finally I was able to enter into other paths. Like you, I didn't know a thing about software testing engineer or even being a software tester. I stumbled upon that. And so I've been a software uh, tester or QA tester, quality assurance tester, what QA stand for. I've been QA for 6 years, and I just recently became not only a software tester engineer like last year, but also I say last year, 2 years ago now, time going by so fast, but also becoming an AI architect. And I'm basically just guiding and giving suggestions, consultancy when it comes to AI. That's very important. And so if we have the time, I would love to talk about that too, and how people can use AI to really level in the playing field if they use it correctly. So I'm happily married to my wonderful wife of 17 years. And then we have 3 kids. We have a 16-year-old. We have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. 2 girls, 1 boy, girl, boy, girl. So as you can see, the gray hair starting to form, having a 16-year-old about to be 17, driving and all that. So life is interesting, but it's great. We have a lot of things in store in the future that we want to accomplish as a family. And being in IT really allowed me to actually even have that type of goal in mind. And so, and I want other people to have that. My whole purpose is having people the best way I can say it, when we introduce ourselves, we always ask, after we give our name and where we're from, we always talk about what job we have or what we do, as if that's our identity. And we so much more than that. I want to classify myself of what I do, not my role, what my title, but the life that I want to live. And I feel like I believe with all the evidences that we see, we have been formed to believe that if we have a certain title or what have you, that that should be a part of us. Like even when we have in our titles, we have all these as if it's a part of our identity, but that doesn't tell the full story. So when you look on my LinkedIn, you don't see any credentialed or anything, although I have that, but you don't see that. You see father, you see husband, you see then software scientist because I love tech. I love getting into tech. But that I feel like that's what represents me, not the credentials I have or the title that I have. That's my whole goal. I want people to see that there is so much more than meets the eye, no matter what circumstances you're in, that you can accomplish not the role that you're in, not looking for a job to take care of means, but to go deeper than that. Look for whatever it is that help you accomplish the life that you want to live. And that's not fairy tale. That's reality. That could be possible, but there are some things that need to be in place and that's my goal. I want other people to experience that.
Yeah, like what you're describing, that's kind of like how you come off. So what I mean by that, like when I met you in person and we got to talking, and as I was listening to you, you had like a depth to you about the space, right? And so I'm listening, but I'm thinking back on like what I saw on LinkedIn, and I'm serious. I thought about this, and I said, this is interesting. Like he seems to like know a lot more than what I'm kind of like reading in his profile. And then you started talking about cybersecurity. I think I asked you about it.
Yeah,
And then I was like, whoa. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, Tristan, he done like done some stuff before. And so yeah, man, I mean, I think that that's beautiful. That's powerful. So that's interesting. So it makes me want to skip over and come back. The first question I had was just kind of like explaining what you actually do in the role. But you touched on something that you said you feel like being in tech in IT kind of enabled you and your wife to be able to think in terms about goals that you have in the future. Can you just kind of like elaborate on that a little bit?
sure, sure. So my wife and I, we got married when we were 20. And we had, I mean, people are like, why you got married so young? Because when you find the right one, I mean, I'm happy I did.
For
Because
sure.
from what I'm hearing from all my single friends, they say that the dating pool is terrible.
I'm hearing it's crazy out there, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you find the right one, and she's from Mississippi and we have mutual friends and what have you. And so, um, I mean, for her to marry someone legit, I only had dreams. When we started dating, I didn't even have a car. Not that I was a deadbeat, I was working hard, so my story, I don't have a college degree. I was ahead in college. I was taking college courses while I was in high school. I had the choice of graduating early, but I decided no, the free route. Let's just go to high school, do colleges through high school, and I can take majority of my courses for free. And so I just did that and graduated 12th grade, '05. And so I was ahead in college, had a scholarship and I was doing great. But then, just overwhelmed. By that time, it was just my mom. I was the oldest in the house. All my other older brothers and sisters moved out. And so, I had to help out my mom financially. And so I dropped out of college. And I knew that was tough because although I was taking care of a need, immediate need, I knew future need, I had to get out of the hood. I had to. I had to get out of it and I had to help my mom out. Not just feeding her for a day, but getting her out of the situation where she don't have to worry about that environment or rely on the government and all this other stuff. And so, although I got out of college, I always was thinking, okay, I need to figure out a way to, if I'm going to work and take care of my family, I might as well work smarter and make as much money as possible
Hmm.
because it's only so much time I can give. I'm not going to work 80 hours in fast food or what have you. We got to do what we got to do. If people are doing that, kudos to you. Don't look down on that. You can use that as fuel to get to the next level like I had to, but that's not sustainable. That's all I'm saying. It's not sustainable working 60 hours and the hustle mentality that you're going to burn out. And so I knew that going in. So, um, So here was a quest of me trying to figure out the right career for me to make as much money as possible at little time. At first, I thought it was commission based, so I was working at the bank. Of course, you have a hourly salary, but being a personal banker, if you sold different products, what have you, get nice commissions. I got into the role being a personal banker to actually educate people how to balance their funds and how to get great credit and all this other stuff because of the neighborhood we service was poor area. Of course, the bank didn't like that. And so they were trying to get me let go, but I quit before they fired me. And so then I
Wow.
pivot into the call center. Then I was seeing the other side. So in the banking, people couldn't afford to get even a secure credit card and overdraft, and the bank's profiting off of that. They didn't want to educate their customers on how to avoid that. So I went from one area to now I'm hearing calls of people couldn't pay for their power bill. And then that triggers some trauma because, back in the day, I'm seeing my mom at the kitchen table trying to balance the books and stuff and trying to figure out whether we buy food or we just hope and pray the power don't go off, that type of stuff. And so I'm like, this is not sustainable. By that time, through that transition, my wife and I, we've been married. We got married, had kids, what have you. And my whole goal was like, okay, making more money, having benefits, taking care of my children, taking care of my wife, and working as little as possible. And I knew that, once I had the call center, it was just, it wasn't sustainable. So I took a course online, Coursera, in fact. It was an online course. And this when no one knew anything about Coursera at the time. No one knew anything about it. And they partnered with Google, and Google started their online internship. It was like an online internship. You have to apply, for scholarships and all this other stuff. It was a pilot program, and Google goal was to hire 30,000 people to get into IT. I saw that ad and I was like, okay, yeah, this is good for me, because what I was thinking was, well, if I put in my resume that I did an online internship with Google, um, they're gonna really notice, like, huh, with Google. And so I did that, applied for a job in IT, had nothing to do with what I took on Coursera. But sure enough, because I had my coursework, my created a portfolio of sorts, and I put online internship through Google. I didn't even mention, Coursera, because they didn't know Coursera. They know Google, not Coursera. And thankfully, I had other people who I knew, they were like my mentors. They gave me a good word, and I got the job without even interviewing. And so that was huge for me because I went from $38,000. Now, mind you, living in Atlanta, working with a bunch of people, Atlanta is like one of the most educated cities. I mean, you have universities all over. So many
Yeah.
people have masters and bachelors and what have you. And here I go, small little kid in Mississippi with a high school diploma, was able to get this job. Salary went from 38,000 all the way up to 56,000. So a 20, almost $20,000 jump. So that's when I started to understand the power of getting into tech. And so now, fast forward, I was in that role as a technology analyst. Again, didn't take nothing of the sort on that course, but I just use it as kind of like a flashing light, like advertisement on my resume. I didn't have the skill, but because I showed that I had the technical knowledge and I had the business knowledge, they took a chance on me. And then also too, I had great people to represent me, like to vouch for me, network and what have you. And so that was one clue there that I had in my mind. But then another supervisor reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want you to apply for this job, and it's software tester." I'm like, "Software testing? What is that?" "Oh, well, you test out different applications that are being built, see if there's any defects." I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know anything about that." So I didn't want to apply because I'm like, I don't know anything about it. I don't have the skill. She basically threatened me if I don't apply, she was going to get me. So I was like, okay, I apply. And so I applied. I didn't know a thing. I was so transparent. I was basically telling them not to hire me because I kept telling them I don't know anything about it. And they was like, they was ignoring me. They're like, well, how long you been in customer service? How long have you been using this application? Tell me about this application, why customers like or dislike or how. And I was just telling them. And lo and behold, they called me the next day and say, you're hired. And I asked the supervisor, I'm like, why did you hire me? There are other people you hired who had way more experience and stuff. And the supervisor is pretty transparent. They say, well, first of all, you have business knowledge. We need someone from the business side to come into IT and really explain to us how the customers are using the applications. So that was the first reason. And then she said, and the second reason why, because you had some people in high places calling us and just speaking highly of you. So that was another clue, like, okay, like you really got to have some top people like in your corner. And then, so my income went from 56 to now 67. That was in 2019. My income now is 80. I'm at 80. I don't know. Last time I checked, I think like 84, not including bonuses. And mind you, now that I am a software testing engineer, and so what that basically is, instead of me manually or just moving my mouse and actually playing with the application, now I create scripts behind the scene that do all that for me automatically. And that saved me more time to focus in on the more critical areas. And so in order to build those scripts and testing automatically and then have it deploy. And so when we have our phones and we see an update, that's basically a deployment. We just have to update and then it'll finish up. And so many, simply put. So that role actually pays in six figures, but the role that I'm in right now is not exactly. I'm transitioning. I did some automation on the side in my spare time and for others. But as for my role, I'm getting paid. I'm just saying, for the record, I'm getting paid way less than I should be getting paid. But the flexibility, what I'm not getting paid in my salary, I'm getting paid with my flexibility. I work from home, fully remote at this time, and I have the flexibility. I work for what I know, not how long I work, and I like that.
Man, you just said a few things that got me on different trails now. Right? You got me on some trails. So, all right, I want to go back to your history in IT. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Because I forgot you were in IT that long. Like I did. That's why when we came over, I was like, I don't know, maybe you consider yourself. I knew you was in it longer than me. I didn't know how long. So 10 years in IT, 6 years in the software testing or QA. What were you doing in IT in the beginning?
Yeah. So wonderful question there. So I was focusing on the hardware side of IT. So, um, what I thought that I wanted to do was to get into networking, not networking or talking to people, but like the internet, the interconnectivity, like the
Yeah.
internet and servers and all of that. I wanted to get into that. But it was so much gatekeeping at that time, which is funny because now it seemed like very few people want to do that. Well, because the pandemic changed everything. So what was hot is not. So at the time, I mean, those networking guys and gals, I mean, they were making six figures and they still are. Those who've been in the field for a long time, they still are, especially now with AI, data centers and what have you. You definitely need service reliability and all that. I mean, but even they have to really pivot or redefine themselves in that role, in my opinion. But in 2010, 2012, when I was trying to break in, it was always a number of, oh, well, you need your A plus certification, your M plus certification. And then as you studying for that, and mind you, we were broke, didn't have money. And so I was very cautious of investing in a certification and something that because one person say you need to get, and then I'm talking to someone else and they say, no, 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 don't get that. Get your Cisco CCNA. And someone say, nah, you don't need to get that. Just get your CCNA. And you're looking at the cost for all these certifications. You're like, well, how about, I don't know. I just
And the
put it
time
off.
that go into getting it.
Yeah. And the time. I mean, CCNA is difficult. Um, and it's not cheap, you know? So, and then even when you do get the certification at that time, or you working towards your certification, people who can open up doors for you, it's almost like you have to appease them. Like, well, I had to go to college. I got my degree, then I got my, and so yeah, you got your cert, but you need to go to college and you need to do that. And I'm like, nah, that's not I don't want to go to college. I have a wife and kids, and I don't like debt. I don't want to get into debt, so I'm not going to college. And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but that's on them. They got to sleep with that. I live with purpose. So if you're not part of that purpose, if you don't want to open up doors for me because of what you think I need to be, instead of just giving me options or just giving me direction based on where I'm at, well, you're not there for me. You're not the one. And so I say, forget it. You know what? No one wants to open up doors for me. I just build my own door. So what I did, not only learn the stuff, but then I created a business and listed myself as like a technician or a manager. So that way I can legit put it on my resume that I have experience and I have people to vouch for me. So I'll go in people's houses and configure their Wi-Fi and stuff like that and boost it up and just do different things, fix their computer, build their computer. I just put it on a business name. And then if they want to verify the person, they call my HR person, my wife. They didn't know they're my wife, but they'll call and like, hey, yeah, and they'll call the different customers or whoever. So I had to build my own way. And that's why I was able to, when I'm at their interview, not to be nervous or have imposter syndrome because I built it myself. I know it. So that's what I did. So that's why beginning of my IT career, it wasn't with a company per se, like I had a job, but I had those experiences because I learned it and then I tested and I built my own and I created my own experience from that.
Exactly. What you're saying is you weren't relying on a system that was handed to you, right? Like a mold, right? Someone else defines this is success, this is the path. Like how you mentioned, college degree, work for someone. I mean, all right, so you tripping me out right now. I gotta look at my notes because I want you to go in another direction now with what you're saying. But I know I told the people in the beginning that what I said we was gonna cover advice to someone exploring the various paths. We're gonna touch on some AI and the
Yeah.
biggest challenge that you see with some resources. I wanna get on the trail to, if you don't mind, are you open to talking about pivot?
Sure.
Uh all
Sure.
right. All right. Pivot QA,
And
right?
I also explain. I also link what I was saying because what you were recapping or is exactly why I'm sharing that. Like there are so many people right now that are without a job, and so here's the crazy thing about this. You go back 20 years ago. 20 years ago in 2005 when I graduated, it was very few people didn't have a job. But you can also say that as a nation, we wasn't as educated or even aware, right? Like there's only in Mississippi you have four paths. Four paths. It's either you went to college, went to the military, or you work offshore or be a trucker. That was your path, basically. If you didn't do any of that, good luck. But now that's not the case. And the reason why, because we were limited in resources. And even as a nation, we were limited. We were told that you had to go to any one of those paths. Go straight to the job force, military, or college. That was the way. So you didn't have a lot of people who were quote unquote educated, but everyone had a job though, right? For the most part. Fast forward now, we are the most educated that we have ever been. Resources are plentiful. I was just telling my kids, like, I had to go to the library and get copies of.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I love it. I love it. That's life.
One of my kids just came in. Keep
I
keep
love it.
rolling.
I
Keep
love it.
rolling. Probably won't be able to edit that one out.
I love it. That's what I'm talking about. That's the life. Like you created your life to enjoy that, man. So I love it. But we're so educated. Like I had to go to the library when I was in school and copy information from an old encyclopedia and pay 25 cents for the copy. Now my kids got Chat GPT. My kids got a tablet, computer, laptop. they got all these resources. And here it is. I'm in tech, but I had to wait until I was 17 to work to buy my own computer. I was 17 when I got my first computer and broadband internet. I had to go to my friend's house. The point that I'm making, we're so educated. We have so much at our fingertips, yet we never before time had so many people struggling and couldn't find a job. So here's the point. We have seen that education is not the way. It's not the answer. Education, the way the world, this construct want us to believe, because we have more people who are masters and bachelors, and yet they're not in the field. At best, they got a job, but they're not in the field that they went to school for, and they still in debt, still paying for it.
Wow.
That's not, to me, that's not a measure of success. The last time I checked, you can't copy your degree and pay for your house. That you can't do that. You go on LinkedIn right now and you have so many people who have all these titles at the end of their name, but yet they have an open for work banner. And so I was looking at that and I'm like, how is that fair that here's someone like me, high school diploma, got a job, making near six figures. And then you have someone who worked so hard, gave up years, only to be tricked and with debt, and not at the very least have these schools open up ways for them to have internships, not just for a few who they know, but for everyone. Already have jobs lined up in your field. They have so much influence that they can make deals with many of these companies and say, hey, if you want our sponsorship, if you want our students, have at least so many jobs open for these students to as soon as they graduate, they have the power to do it. And so why are they not doing it? Because we're the product. And so fast forward to Pivot QA. So what Pivot QA is all about, I want people to pivot into the life that they want through tech. Primarily, my focus is customer service. And the reason why I chose customer service are two reasons. First of all, although I'm not in customer service anymore, I don't forget where I come from. I claim customer service. That's what made me. That's what defined me. And so because I have so much experience in customer service, I know the ins and outs. I know the struggles. I know the pressures being at the call center and your supervisor telling you, well, you have to work overtime and you have to miss your kid's recital, right? I know how that feel. I know how that feel when, like, when my wife had to go to a doctor's appointment and my manager say, no, I can't go to see with my wife on the baby's checkup. And so I'm like, I didn't ask you. This is not asking for permission. I'm telling you, I'm not going. And then getting written up. I know how that is. And so on top of that, although so many of our customer service workers in the United States kept this country going during the pandemic, and we thank the doctors, we thank the nurses, but there was no kudos to the customer service workers. Instead, they had to focus on layoffs and threats and telling them to come back into the office. And now the rise of AI, they trying to figure out ways to replace them.
So true.
And so it is the largest workforce in the United States for middle class and, lower middle class families. And so imagine when they do replace it with AI, right? You're talking about a large number of people going to be affected. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Doesn't mean that it's going to work, by the way. But hey, it's all by profit. So they rather ask for your forgiveness than your permission. And so that's the way it works. And so because of that, I'm like, how can I help as many people as possible get into, well, what I did, I focused on all the soft skills that comes with customer service. I mean, thinking on your feet, know how to communicate, you understanding the customer needs. You're the person when the company do something crazy, like, why are they doing that? They don't realize that it's this, and this. Well, because you know the product, you know the customer so well, you know your market so well. Those are the type of things that translate well into IT. So that's the first reason. The second thing is, how can I help someone who have very little to no technical skill get into IT? And so that goes into all the scams that's within IT. You see all this advertisement about get into cybersecurity and within 3 months you'll be job ready and all these advertisements or cloud or all these things. And it's just a bunch of lies. Don't take my word for it. Just go on LinkedIn and type in cybersecurity and you will see so many people who have open for work banners and they have 10, 20 years of cybersecurity experience and they're looking for a job. But it's just all about advertising. Those companies trying to sell a product, they trying to sell subscriptions. And so what is the best way to sell? I'm not going to be talking about being a technician or building computers or being a software tester. First of all, nobody don't want to leave home. Everybody want to work remote. And those not the 6-figure jobs, at least initially.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna talk about cloud computing. They're gonna talk about cybersecurity and they're gonna hype it up. And people don't realize that's not the reality. And so that was another reason I was getting sick and tired of people who saw my story, saw what I did, and they calling me and they telling me some of the scams that they running into, like these boot camps and all this other stuff. So that's why with Pivot QA, I knew that it's not about the knowledge. You can get the knowledge anywhere. Again, we have an overabundance of knowledge and education, but that's not the answer. You need more. You need what I had, not only the knowledge, but you need the right certification to get people to notice so it can flash on your resume. You need to build and create your way of getting your own experiences without waiting for a job. And oh, by the way, because it's a business, now you can write stuff off, right? Now you can make some money on the side. So you're not worried about what any other company trying to do. So that was another reason. But while you getting all those other perks and you building up your experience, you find the right people who can vouch for you, that can speak with you, that can make one phone call that could change your life for you. You need those type of people to help you and prepare you and know how to represent yourself, how to make yourself a brand. And you do those things, you're not applying for jobs aimlessly on Indeed or whatever. You're finding your job on your phone because you call in the people who know you and they see your transition and they believe in you and they making those phone calls for you and they open and then you have those opportunities open. So I teach that it's a 4-phase process in Pivot QA that I help my students to do. And I also let them know that, hey, the end goal is not for you to get a job. Now, if that comes, that's great. My end goal for you, yes, I want you to get a job. You need some type of income. So yes, I want you to get a job. But what I really want you to focus on, that this is a journey. I want you to get the life that you want. So if it means you being debt free, who cares if you get a raise? If you saving money just by being debt free. So we help our students to prepare how to budget and how to do all these things that other companies not, or education sites or whatever you want to call it, boot camps, whatever, they're not teaching that. But that's also part of the pivot. They don't tell you how challenging it is. Many people in customer service, they want to leave their job, but they can't leave because they feel like, well, I don't have a degree or I don't have that much experience. I only have customer service experience and I'm making this much money in the role. If I quit, what can I do? Well, we educate our people. This is what you do. You set yourself up in such a way where you can live off a certain amount of money. You're paying things off. So now you at a point that if your supervisor tell you have to stay instead of being there for your child, you can confidently say, well, no, and you can walk away. That's part of the
Right.
pivot. And so
Wow.
those are the things that are not being taught. It's a process. It's a journey. And so that's what we do. It's a 4-step process that we do. And that's why we do it.
And it sounded like it was built from the blueprint of like your actual life,
Yeah,
right?
it really was.
And what you did.
That's why I explained it that way, because it really, really was like the most painful thing in this journey when you really see, and of course, this is not a generalization or anything. This is just my experience. But the most painful thing for me was people who look like me and went through the same struggle as I did and told me no. Now, no one owe you anything, right? But my problem with it is, don't advertise on these social media sites and everything that you for the people and we need to build up our brothers and whatever. And then when you have someone who show you the credentials and and you see it, but because they're not doing it the way that you did it, you tell them no. And then
Yeah.
meanwhile, you have other people who do not look like me, but just after one conversation, they say, okay, what do I need to do? You tell me right now what I need to do, and it's done.
Yeah.
And so so that's another thing I help my students. Don't look for people who look like you. Look for people who think like you, who act like you, who have the same heart as you. Once we get out of that mindset and that construct, we're free. We can accomplish whatever we want. And it may come from a source that do not look like you or think like you or even believe like you. But y'all have a shared purpose, and that's to share kindness and help each other. And that could be the answer. So that's another thing too. There's so many opportunities people are sitting on, but they just focus on one way. No, I gotta do this, and they're not looking at the big picture. And so
Wow.
we help our students. We try to help our students to think that way, and that's a process.
I think that's a good place to make sure we cover this question. What is the biggest challenge you feel like you see when it comes to a person transitioning or pivoting? And so what I'm asking, of course, is whatever that next level is, right? Living the life that you want to live. A person being in customer service, for example, or hospitality or service like I was. Um, Hospitality hotel industry for a while. One of my more recent was private chauffeuring. How do you take someone who does not have the knowledge or the understanding of tech or whatever they're trying to get into, and then they actually be able to transition, drastically increase their income and increase their influence in different spheres?
Yeah.
Long preamble to what is
No,
the biggest challenges you see for someone being able to do that?
no, the reason why you had to explain it that way, because that's the truth. There's so many shackles in people mindset and belief system. So like even the life that I'm living, the way I carry myself, you think I'm a millionaire, but to me, it means everything because this is something that I only dreamed about, talking to people in the hood, and we talked about our dreams and things that we wanted to do, and to actually live it. Sometimes I feel guilty because I'm like, I thinking about everyone else, that's still on the level that I know they don't want to be in. But the problem is I had to come into terms that the biggest problem is people belief system. So when I prospect and I look for new students, everybody wants to leave their job. So it's very easy. I mean, I don't even sell Pivot QA. I don't sell it. It sells itself. Everybody wants to pivot. But out of the 50 people I prospect, only like 5 actually signed up. First of all, the reason why, because I vet them out, like people just curious. And then you have those who are serious, but they allow whatever circumstances that they're in to hold them back. And then you have those who, like, not only are they serious, but they're committed and they willing to do whatever it takes. They are the ones that break through. Now, here's the reason why, in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing from my story, for other people who I grew up with, and my students and people who I talk to. They truly believe that it's a fantasy to believe that you can make the money that you can make and do it from home. They there are people out there right now that believe that that's impossible. And if it is possible, that he must have did something to get there. It's just that simple. They really truly believe that this is impossible. So the antidote for that, I mean, again, because in Pivot QA, we try to remove as many barriers as possible. And so that's why I partner with career coaches. I have mentors, but I also include them into my circle. So don't take my word for it. Let's talk to Justin. Let's talk to, someone that had the same exact story you had or similar story you had, and they'll tell you. You just involve them and surround them. They have to choose to stay in that environment, but you really have to help them to have a whole new circle of friends, of people that live in the life that they want. It's kind of like one famous person, he said that He tell everyone to fly first class because once you fly first class, you never going to want to not fly first class. You're going to find a way to fly first class. It's just the experience. So once you have other people, once you have these
Interesting.
people in your circle and you see the way they live and you see, you know, how much money they make and we all transparent. That's why I share my income. I mean, what can you do? And so we share, we open it, like we're very open. We want people exposed. I help them. Hey, come to work with me. Let me show you around. Let me show you the team. Sit in on our meetings. See how we do this. I try to get them exposed as much as possible so that they can see it. It's kind of like how God allowed Moses to see the promised land. You want them to see it. And then once they see it and they experience, now it's all up to them. And for those who commit it, they're going to like, okay, this is the life I want. I don't care how long it takes, whether it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, I'm going to get that type of life. And I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get it.
Mm.
So for me, that's what, in my opinion, everything I, you know, experience and observe, people really think that a customer service worker cannot transition to IT without something. And that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah. No, that's good, man. You made me think about something. My wife and I were in the process of looking to transition into tech, someone told me, be careful, that could be a scam. And this was just us talking about what we about to do. Like, hey, yeah, we about to get a remote job, we about to learn this, and we about to, move on with making this amount of money. Like, be careful, that could be a scam. Here we are, I'm sitting at home, our workspace, 2 years later, and we're doing it. That's interesting. I agree with it's hard to think beyond what you can see, right?
That's
Or
it.
what you can conceive mentally.
Yep.
Seeing is a powerful thing. And also, just to say real quick, I agree on it's so many different scam things, man, with marketing. And my wife and I, we didn't realize the difficulty of what it was really like being in the space until after we got in this space and we got jobs, and then we're looking around, we're making videos, but then we're realizing like, dang, they got a lot of people not getting jobs. And then it started like sinking in, like, snap, like, what if we kind of like an anomaly? And it's like not really that simple. And you're right, it's not. Like, a lot of it is smoke. It's possible it's there, but you can't follow so much of the marketing trends,
That's
right?
it. Yep.
And the well put together videos and all of that. You can't follow that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. No, that's good, man.
And that's why we tell our students, so how, and I think I missed this. Well, I did miss it. So how we also help the students get into IT, we focus on the low hanging fruits of IT. These are the roles that pay well, that will double your income, but it's not as glamorous as like cybersecurity. So it's
All right,
kind of,
look,
yeah.
I'm tying because I got to get this answer. I told the viewers I'm tying this question in.
Okay.
What advice do you have for someone exploring various IT paths? Because what you about to say, I know, is super important because people got such a misconception of entry level cyber, entry level tech sales. What else? Sales engineering. It's like, it ain't what you think.
Exactly.
And you're not going to be making the kind of money that you hearing on videos.
Nope.
So that's my preamble. Please continue.
Okay, so here's so I wish I had my wallet. I could have shown my certification. I have my cybersecurity certification. So, but you notice I didn't say I'm a cybersecurity, all this stuff, blase stuff. Now so cybersecurity is real. I'm not saying it's not real. It is real. What they, being these companies that's selling these courses, what they don't tell you, there are really, yeah, there are different variants of cybersecurity. So you have ethnical hacking, you have penetration testing, blase. Really, at the end of the day, there are only two types of cybersecurity. You have consumer data and you have company data and national security type data too. But you really have two segments. You have customer data and or consumer data, and you have company national data, what have you, critical stuff. So it's true. There are 3 million, or it changed every time, depending on who's saying it. 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, whatever.
You're right.
So there are some unfilled roles, but you got to ask yourself why. So we learned how this company and how this country works. We learned a lot. Hopefully, we learned a lot during the pandemic. We saw the country operate in ways that was not exposed. What were them? This country will not survive without movement. That's the only way we as a nation can thrive. That's why we have currency. We have to keep the market flowing. You gotta keep working. We can't stay still. It's not like in the European countries where they have siestas and, they have all these vacations. They set up their economy for that. Our country never sleep. We have to keep making money. We have to keep working. It's like an engine. You gotta keep it rolling. That's what we learn. So if that's the case, then why in this country we have 3 million unfilled roles? Why? I mean, that would put us at a national risk for something so critical, so important. And here's the reason why. Because out of the two buckets, when it comes to company data and national security and what have you, they are fully staffed and over budget. When it comes to consumer stuff, that's where you have the unfilled roles. Now, why is that? Well, don't take my word for it. Let's see what's going on in the world. How many of us every month seem like we get an email talking about a data breach? Constant. Now, when Equifax and Target, when it was happening, and it was the talk of the news, like, oh my goodness, and we're scared and all this stuff. They give us our apology. They sent out the email, hey, we're going to give you 2 years of free, protection on your social security card, your number, whatever. Right? That was the biggest data breach in history, by the way, Equifax. Like, all of us, we all could. Our social security number, whatever, could have been, it's done. We're done. Nothing we can do about it. It's on the black web as we speak. Nothing happened. They had some type of class action lawsuit and we got pennies out of it. That's it. Right. Meanwhile, you have Colonial Pipeline. So that's one of the largest pipelines in the Southeast. And their critical infrastructure was hacked. They were told to pay over $1 million. I forgot. It was like, I want to say 3-4 million or 12 million, something like that, but millions to pay the ransom, which, by the way, of course, they was communicating with the FBI. This is all public knowledge. I'm not releasing anything classified. This is all public knowledge. They were working with the FBI. The FBI told them to pay the ransom. They paid a ransom in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, one of its values of Bitcoin is that you can't discern who sent it. You can't mask it, right? Tell me why in 3 days, not only did the government know who did it, they shut down their computers, shut down the whole system, took the money back that was in Bitcoin. They knew which they took the money back and took all the data that they stole and decrypt Colonial Pipeline software, stuff in 3 days. So much so that if you look, again, go on Google, type in Colonial Pipeline crash, cyber breach, use that date, look at the historical date of the Bitcoin, what happened that day when the FBI and the CIA came out and said, yeah, we recovered all the money back in Bitcoin dropped because from that point, no one knew that could happen. What's the point? The point is consumer data, although it's understaffed, is not important. We can ask for your forgiveness than your permission. What we care about is critical infrastructure, company data that can destroy our business or our nation. That's what we're going to secure. So if you're a business person, you're a CEO, and you have 12 positions for cybersecurity open, and you have critical data with 5 roles, 6 jobs that need to be filled, and then you have 6 roles in consumer data, but you short on money. What are you going to do? If you're a true business person, because this is a capitalist country, you're going to protect your critical infrastructure. You're going to fill those seats and pay them 6 figures. And then I'm only going to get 3 people to protect the consumer data. And then I'm going to have cybersecurity insurance. So if there's a data breach, I can use that to pay for everyone's stuff to
Hmm.
fix their credit. That's what's going on. So if one company doing it, if one company do that, so they have three unfilled seats, and they saving a lot of money because they're not employing, and they using technology and cybersecurity insurance to cover that and hope and pray. But in case it does, we're good. Think about the millions of other companies that are doing that, and that's how you have 3 million seats unfilled. It's intentional. And so once I learned that and studied that, that's why you see so many people with cybersecurity, went to college, got all these certifications and everything. That's what you see. So I tell people, stop waiting in line like you at a carnival and you want fried ice cream and funnel cake, when if you just walk a few steps down, there's the same concession selling the same stuff and nobody in line. That's the same way with IT. Everybody want to get in line for cybersecurity. And oh, by the way, they don't realize that you don't really have a life in cybersecurity. That's 12-hour days around the clock. If you want to travel the world, whatever, you can't work remotely in cybersecurity. Very few roles, yes, but they want you in.
Mm.
How about looking for other IT roles like software testing, like project management, like Scrum Master, like UX UI, like business analyst, like AI? Get into these roles that pay great money and you can have the freedom you want. And by the way, not a lot of people in line for those jobs.
Wow. You just named a number of them for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those are all the reason why I named those, because customer service workers, primarily, they know all those things. They know the design of the website. They know why customers have it very difficult to go to a certain area, and they telling. So that's UX UI. If you're an artist and you're very artistic and whatever, you'll love that role. If you always taking a lead in team meetings and what have you, and you organizing, you orchestrating, man, you'll be perfect for project management. If you like to play with tech and actually feel guilty because you're getting paid to break stuff and discover stuff and find the risk in it, you'll love software testing. Or if you want to be a subject matter expert and give people advice and advise them on different things from the business point of view, be a business analyst. All those roles, you'll double your income, and within 2-3 years, you can make 6 figures. And that's
All right.
worse. That's that worst case scenario.
And so resource wise, so like, you know, anything that you could just kind of speak to the people about on where to look, what to do if they are trying to just get exposure to it, the transition and what it looks like.
So this is what I tell my students. Now, of course, because I'm a software tester, I always focus in on, I teach my students software testing credentials. The reason why, because as a software tester, you not only learning exactly software testing, but there's other facets that get into project management, Scrum Master, all those other positions or titles that I was telling about. But still, the principle's still the same. I have a 4-phase process called LEAP. So LEAP, and it's an acronym, LEAP. So first, learn, figure out what you're good at. Tonight, when you're watching this video, after you're done, sit down, and I will even go so far, if you're a believer, if you believe whatever, pray about it, meditate on it, do whatever you need to do to get into that space, right? And write down, don't hold back, don't minimize your talent, don't minimize your skills. And that's why I said, you got to get in that mind space. Write down every skill that you have, and then write down everything you do in your role. So you should have 2 lists. You have everything you're skilled at, and then everything you actually do. Everything. Put it all on paper. And then go to ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, I have all these skills, but I want to get into IT. Based on all these skills, give me 5 roles I should look into. And then it'll tell you everything. It'll tell you those roles. It even say, hey, do you want me to make a resume based on your skill set? It'll do all that for you. Love AI. So you do that. So let's just say, for instance, you're interested in UX UI, right? Go on LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to have a LinkedIn. It's not as good as it was 10 years ago, but it's better than everything else for right now. Go on LinkedIn and create yourself a profile. I already told you, if you already have TikTok and social media, what have you, you don't need to be scared about putting your profile pic up. I just said that Equifax leaked all your stuff out anyway, so you don't need to be scared and putting your profile. They already know how you look. So go on, get your profile pic, put it out there, put all your skill set that you put in and that ChatGPT pretty and beautified, put that on there and start getting to know people. The fastest way you can get to know people, go on LinkedIn, go in the search and type in UX UI in this example, right? If you want to get into UX UI, type in UX UI groups, join those groups and just sit there for a moment. Look at the lingo, look at some of the things that you're seeing. See and believe like what people are doing in those groups. And then once you feel comfortable, contribute back to the group or ask questions. If most of those groups they have webinars, join a webinar. What you do, you got that exposure because that person that you on that webinar, they truly appreciate you joining. You don't know the confidence boost that you're giving them, and they more than likely will be more than willing to give you advice and be your mentor, right? And so that's how you get to know you reach out to them and say, hey, I really appreciate that webinar. I learned this, and this. I hope we can talk soon. You wouldn't believe the amount of people will stop what they're doing and talk to you. So that's one way of doing it. You really got to you got to get out there. And so that's why I say those who are serious and those are committed, those who committed, they willing to do whatever it takes. It means their life. Those who are serious, they'll be a little hesitant. They start second guessing. They start saying, okay, does Tristen really know what he's talking about? I don't know. Maybe it worked for him, but not for me, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I say it's your mindset. When you want what you want, you don't care how you get it. You just get it. So they'll do this, right? So that's what you have to do. That's the first step. Just learn. Just get to know the feeling. So two things will happen is either you like that role and you're like, man, I really like what I'm seeing. And then you start getting those resources that's in those groups for free or very low cost. Or you say, you know what, I like it, but you know what, I don't. So what you do, rinse and repeat. If you want to get into software testing, get into software testing groups, get into webinars and all that. So that's how you do that. The next step is learning. There's plenty of free resources. Do Three Schools is a nonprofit organization. They teach everything software, everything IT related, like coding, project management, everything. So w3schools.com. That's a wonderful website. Another great website that I like is Guru. And Guru 99. What that is, it's basically what it is. They teach you everything. And then there's more catered depending on the roles that you're in. Again, ask ChatGPT. Hey, so going back to the illustration about UX UI. Well, Chat, I really like UX UI. Please provide different sites that's free, low cost that I can get into. So those are some free options. But also too, believe it or not, Coursera, they have some wonderful programs that they partner with different universities like IBM. Well, yeah, a university, but also companies like IBM and others. Wonderful programs that I really give kudos to them because they really changed the game of how we approach education. And so I like that about them. I just hate that it seems like after they went public, their focus shifted from actually helping getting jobs to now selling subscriptions. That's the only thing I don't personally, that goes against my core belief, but still a wonderful, wonderful company. So Coursera, you have that out of the many. So you have Udemy and all those, and they all great in their own right. I think they're great for different purposes. I would say for you to really try to break in Coursera only because they're more credentialed, they're more known. They like the darling of education, like online education, what have you. And then too, they give you the certificate along with that. You can easily market that on your resume that I took this course at Harvard University through Coursera, as opposed to, and they're geniuses. They're geniuses on Udemy. It's just that how would that look on your resume? So that's why Udemy is good once you end the role and you want to level up and you want to learn. Udemy is great because you only pay for it one time. You don't need the subscriptions or anything like that. But going in, starting off, you want that. So That's the learning part. The next part is E, which is exam prep. There's in IT, there's this talk of are certifications needed or not? You'll have those who've been in the field for a long time, they tell you it's not needed, but they miss one critical important information or fact. They already in the road. So of course for them, they don't need the certification. But for someone who's in customer service and they've been beat down and they have so much doubt and they don't know if they can do it, what better way to boost your confidence than to get a
Hmm.
certification?
Hmm.
Not only that, many of these certifications also certify your skill set and your experience. Like for an example, the A plus certification, relatively easy certification to get, relatively speaking. I'm not saying it's easy, but relative compared to other cert, it's easy. But even with that certification, when you get it, you're basically telling the world that you have at least 1 year experience. The certification my students get, that we pay for, I pay for out of my own pocket. I don't want anybody, once you invest in the career, you don't pay for anything else going forward. So the certification is software testing, the ISTQB, International Software Testing Qualification Board. If you pass that certification, you're basically saying you have 2 years of experience based on your know-how, your cert. So not only are you having that confidence boost, like, man, I know it, like I proved that I know this, but you can easily put on your resume that you have 2 years experience and you talk about your experience. So that's how a person who have no experience get the job that asks for experience. You get the certification to certify your skill set. So that's E. And then after that, A and P, because you in these groups and you join in the webinars, the more seen you are, the more people will just cater to you and want to be your friend and have conversations with you, and you use them, and I say that loosely, use, but you use them for them to vouch for you, and they want to vouch for you because of what you're doing, contributing to the environment, to the community. So what you put in is what you're going to get out. So that's a blueprint for anyone who's want to pivot, get out there, think very hard about your skill set, use AI, chat GPT and all that. Go put yourself out there. The money is out there. The opportunities are out there. Don't wait for anyone to create it for you. You do it and you can do it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And what does the A and the P acronym stand for?
So A is application.
Okay.
So application, so like for an example, after I learned that stuff and I got my certification, I was trying to get a job, but no one wasn't trying to like hire me because they were gatekeeping. So I created my own. So in application, we actually teach our students, this is how you can get your own without looking for a job. You can there's plenty of jobs like in software testing that you can get on Fiverr. So now you have that entrepreneur mindset. I'm not trying to limit you to just employee. So you create your own opportunity. There's plenty of opportunities that you can do. And now don't ask for the same amount of rate that someone who's been doing it for, you're just asking for it.
Right.
But only thing the money is second. Right now, you just want the experience. You want something that you can prove. So when you're on your portfolio or you in these interviews, you can actually talk about the experience instead
Yeah.
of theory. So that's
Yeah.
what A stands for, application. And then P is presentation. So that's when our career coaches help you how to look for a job, how to communicate, how to market yourself to get the role that you want.
Okay. No, that's good. And that's a more challenging role that don't sell good when you're marketing a course. But that don't sell good, man. We want the easy route, right? We want the microwave route.
Yeah.
But that route doesn't really exist for most, right?
Yeah. And you're telling the truth because honestly, if I wanted Pivot QA to be easy, hands off, I'd just sell you the course and create a community that's not being active and I'll sleep easy.
Yeah.
That's that's not
Yeah. All right. So I'm a get ready to move towards closing out.
okay.
And one question, and you did touch on it, but just leaving now the floor open for any takeaway that you really want to drive home, or if you wanted to elaborate more into the role that AI plays in career development,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to you now.
Okay. So, and I think I can wrap it up into into one. AI. So with AI, I have this deep love for AI. And here's the reason why. Thinking back 20, 30 years ago, all I had in the hood was just hopes and dreams. That's all I had. Me and my brothers and sisters, without going too much deep into it, we didn't have a tough childhood, and the reason why it wasn't tough because we had each other. I have a lot of brothers and sisters, but financially, we're put in some very terrible situation that I wouldn't wish anyone experienced. So all I had was hopes and dreams. Me and my brothers and sisters, we'll talk about our goals. We'll talk about our dreams. And for the most part, we accomplished them. All my brothers and sisters are doing wonderful. And we all went on different paths. And I'm proud of all my siblings. If we had AI growing up, man, we'll be like the Waltons. We'll be billionaires. We'll be billionaires. We'll be just like the Waltons, the Walton family. And the reason why, because for the first time, AI leveled the playing field. It doesn't matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're poor. Everyone has AI. Everyone has it. For me, I had to wait till I was 17 to get my first computer because I was old enough to work on my own and I had to save up and buy it. $700. I graduated 36 in my class out of 222. Only reason why, because I was limited in the resources. So my projects, I couldn't get a full A because it was all in black and white and it was all copied from the library and it was old data and what have you. But with AI, I would have been invincible with AI. And so that's why I'm so passionate about AI, and I want people who look like me, especially, and who grew up like me, to really invest in AI, to just study it, learn it, think of ways of how you can use it to enhance your life, because that's the difference maker. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to speak correctly. I still have a speech impediment. Thankfully, because of speech and know how to practice, is not readily detected. And like with my grammar and all that is just wrong. But with AI, who cares? Like you go in AI, you type up any way that you want and it'll correct what you wrote. And if you don't like how you sound, you can get an AI voice to talk for you. Whatever excuse that you have that you feel like you're not enough, I can make it. AI is the equals maker. It balances everything out. And so I want people to really embrace AI. Now, as much as I love AI, I also think AI is kind of like our Tower of Babel moment for mankind. We're building something for the first time. This is the first I can say. Can you really say software? I don't know, but it's the first invention that we build it and we truly don't know how it operates. Even AI scientists who've been in AI role for like 30 years, they like what we're creating is way more powerful and is accelerating and advancing way faster than we even thought. So that's what I'm talking about. It could be our Tower of Babel. So there are some dangers. But as a software tester, that's why I want to get into AI. I want to see the risk. I want to find a risk. I want as many of us who look like me be in IT and be in AI so that we can blow the whistle. So if we're operating AI and it's all over, that we don't introduce any biases that can negatively hurt a certain race or a certain class of people.
Yeah.
So the more of us in IT, the better. Not just for us, but for the whole world. I want everyone from all walks of life to get into IT, get into AI, so that we can build responsible AI. So
that makes sense.
So to conclude, I want people to look beyond their struggle. And it's very easy for me to say when I'm not in your circumstance, but I know personally the struggle when you're doing the budget and then you just stop because you don't even have to calculate. You know it's going to be a negative this month and you worrying how I'm going to pay these bills. I know it. I know the struggle. We have to do all we can to believe that we're bigger than just where we are. We have too much talent and too many opportunities just to be here to struggle. We don't have to struggle. Now we have to be patient. But if we believe in ourselves and we're willing to do whatever it takes, we can get out of our circumstances one small step at a time. And so if it takes for this month, I'm going to budget and I'm going to save up $100. If you can do that, That's a win. You already way better than you were last month. And then so next month, I'm going to use this $100. I'm going to save another 100 and use this 100 to invest in myself. I'm about to market myself. ChatGPT Plus costs only $20. When this technology first came out, only the military had and worth millions. Now we have $1 million tech that's 10 times better and we can get it for $10, $20. Imagine what it can do. It can do your resume. It can be your coach. It can be your accountability partner. It can tell you, give you some blind spots, and you can take that information and use it to invest in ourselves to be better than where we are. Right. And then when you start studying, now you're studying this AI, you studying this IT, forget a job. Now that you know how to do it, make a difference in your community. Go to your local library. They have free resources. Go to your local library and say, "Hey, can I book a slot for me to share what I know about AI and how it can help the community?" Imagine the press you'll get from that. Imagine how you feel. Now you're not faking it. You live in it. You're making a change. It's just little things like that we have to think outside the box. We need to get out of this digital box that we have to do it this way. We don't have to do it this way. We only have to do it our way. And so that's what I want to leave with your viewers. You can do it. Just do it. Just make it make your path. Think about where you want to be and do whatever it takes for you. You pave your own path. So that's our the motto of Pivot QA. Make the pivot. Make the pivot. You can do it.
And you teach aspects even of like AI application and learning as well.
Most definitely. That's fully integrated and of
Wow.
course because I'm not content. Again, I'm not content. Right now, there's an app right there. Like right now, I don't know if your viewers know about it. There's an app right if you want to make $100 right now, and that's minimum, you can make even more. If let's just you want to make $100 right now, you can make $100 in 1 hour. You can go onto a app and tell AI to build this app. It'll build it in 1 hour. And then you from that platform, you can sell it and people are buying it. So if you can do that, build app. And I say $100, but really it's way more. But if you can build 2 apps a month and each app sells like $1,000, realistically, I'm saying 100 so that you can believe me. If I say something like 1,000 to 10,000, you're not going to believe me. So, but imagine who cares about a job? You can pave your own way.
I tell you what, man, I might be talking to my AI, learning some stuff tonight because I'm pretty no, you know what? I just canceled my $20 a month Chat GPT subscription. And that's only because I got Chat GPT through my job, through my
Okay,
company.
good.
So I don't need to pay for it no more. We got it. Oh yeah, man. I had that $20 a month one, man. Wow. Tristan, how do people find you? I mean, I'm gonna put it in the description anyway, but
Well,
just for you to say it out loud.
yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. So Tristen Alexander, and you'll see me with I have my profile pic. But it's Tristen Alexander.
Updated.
You can find me on LinkedIn. If you want to know more about Pivot QA, you can go on to pivotqa.org. So www.pivota.org. And I also say this, if you just want to chat with me, of course you can always reach out through LinkedIn. But even if you want to know more about how you can pivot, you can just book an appointment on the site. And like I say, I don't sell anything. I'm just going to give you some advice. So whether you contact me through LinkedIn or you book an appointment, I'll be more than happy to help you. Anyone who I talk to, whether they have a book a course with me through Pivot QA or not, I always give helpful resources. If this is software testing is the way I give tons of resources, free resources that you can start on your own and you do your own journey. So that's the way you can reach me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like you're open to be a resource. You can provide help, but then there's also a level of financial investment where someone could really walk more hand in hand with what you're being able to provide. And look, man, I tell you, I appreciate you being on. I feel like it's a ton of value here. I'm gonna have,
Hope I
you
didn't
know,
talk too long.
I'm gonna have time steps in the video. Um, Thank everybody for tuning in. Drop any comments on what you think. Reach out to Tristan, and we will see y'all on the next round.
I'll take care. Make the pivot. You can do it.